So you know about malpractice insurance, and you likely wouldn't start your practice without it. But do you have the three other recommended types of insurance in your practice and in your business? Stick around and we'll get to the bottom of all three, talk about all four. I'll talk about the differences between them and make sure that you are fully covered where you need to be. So starting from the top, malpractice is the number one thing you want to get quotes on and put into place in your practice. As you probably know, malpractice will cover you for your clinical decisions and results that result therefrom. So number one, we all know what malpractice is. It's the first thing you should look at when you're calling your insurance company or agency and making sure that that coverage is in place. Now, there's all sorts of kinds of malpractice, as you are probably familiar. There are claims made, there's occurrence-based, and there's tail, all that stuff. I won't get into too many details on how that works because that would be a great conversation to have with your insurance agency. Number two, in today's day and age, you are probably practicing telemedicine or your patients will force you into it really soon. So if your malpractice coverage does not already include this, make sure to get a telemedicine malpractice coverage policy as well. Talk to your insurance agent. It should be included in most policies today. But again, if it's not, make sure you get a rider or an addendum so that you are fully covered for that. If you are practicing telemedicine outside of your state, say you're licensed in multiple states, make sure you communicate that to your agency or your agent so that the policy that's written reflects your activities in each of those states as well. So that's telemedicine. A third one is general liability insurance, sometimes called business owner's policy or BOP. Now, I typically recommend this. I definitely recommend it if you have a brick and mortar location. And I typically also recommend it for people that don't. And here's why. General business policy, as opposed to malpractice, covers more, right? So malpractice will cover, again, your clinical decisions, the things that result therefrom. General policy includes things like slip and fall, fires or floods, sometimes hurricanes for all of the possessions of your practice or your business. It also covers actions that are non-medical, non-clinical. So if you're both the doctor in the exam room and you're also the CEO in the boardroom, the malpractice coverage isn't going to cover the CEO activities. So entering into contracts, making promises to other companies or other people, other decisions that are business related that could result in torts, or in other words, lawsuits against your company would not be covered by the malpractice insurance. Now, I know malpractice insurance can get expensive in parts of the country, but this general malpractice or BOP coverage is somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 a month. So check with your insurance agent to see if that's something that you need to have as well. And then finally, the last one is cyber liability insurance. It's a newer offering out of these insurance agencies, but with ransomware attacks on the rise globally, it's something that you may want to check and see if that's something that's in your coverage already, or if it's not, getting a new policy for that. There's a couple of reasons why. Ransomware, if you're not familiar, is a piece of virus or software that will come onto your computer, and then they can do a lot of things, but typically what happens is they'll freeze all of your software, freeze all of your files. So you can't even access your files on your own computer until you pay them a ransom, right? Now, that's problematic for several reasons. One, that would stink. And then two, it would make you want to pay them money for the ransom. But what's to prevent them from doing it again? But more importantly, in the medical space, someone that has access to all your files now has access to all your patient data, everything like that. So it is most likely a HIPAA breach as well. And HIPAA breach fines range from $500 per record to $5,000 per record based on the level and extent of the breach. So for those two reasons that are both a financial hit to you for HIPAA breaches, but also just they can lock up, you can't execute your business because you can't log into your software or you can't open your files. And I don't know how much money that would cost you to be down for a day or more. So ask your insurance agent about cyber liability coverage. Sometimes that's included in malpractice. Sometimes it's included in the general business plan or policy, but definitely make sure that that is something, if you want to have that you at least ask about. People sometimes ask me about what claims limits they should have. And that is another question for your insurance agent, but the most common levels of coverage or coverage and limits are 1 million per event and 3 million for the aggregate in that same event. So 1 million, 3 million is the most common malpractice coverage and limit. But again, have that conversation with your insurance agent. You can pay less in premiums if you lower that, but on the flip side, they will not cover as much. So those are the 4 policies that I typically recommend to people to have in their medical practice. So from the top again, that's malpractice coverage policy, malpractice policy, telemedicine insurance policy, cyber liability policy, and general business owners policy, or BOP. So talk to your bank. They sometimes offer agencies to help you write these insurance policies. If you already have insurance, talk to your existing insurance agent about adding to make sure you're fully covered. Or if you initiate with a new company, ask them about those 4 things. So if you have any questions about any of that, follow us at Functional Lawyer. And if you made it to this part of the video, please subscribe. It does help out the channel a lot. And hopefully you've gained a lot of value out of this, and you can return the favor just by hitting the subscribe button. So until next time, we'll see you later. I'm Scott Radigan.